The storm has passed. The ark rests upon the mountains of Ararat. Noah and his family step on a dry land, gazing upward as God sets a radiant rainbow across the sky, a covenant of mercy and hope for all generations to come. Follow me as I narrate the story of Noah and the great flood in concise chapters to aid proper understand. Long ago, the earth was alive with beauty. Rivers shimmered under the sun, fields stretched wide and green, and the sky painted itself each morning in hues of gold. The Creator had given mankind a world full of wonder, a garden of blessing. But as generations passed, men's hearts grew proud. What was once pure turned corrupt. They abandoned the ways of the Lord, choosing instead their own desires. Violence spread like fire, devouring city and field alike. Brothers raised hands against brothers. The innocent were crushed beneath the weight of the strong. Everywhere, cruelty reigned. Idols of stone and gold stood in place of the living God. The earth itself groaned under the weight of mankind's evil. Darkness filled every corner of the world, and every thought of man's heart was only evil, all the time. Yet, amidst this ocean of wickedness, one man walked a different path. His name was Noah. While the world bowed to idols, Noah bowed to the Creator. While men filled their hands with blood, Noah lifted his hands in prayer. He was righteous, not because he was perfect, but because he trusted in the Lord. And though the world around him drowned in corruption, the eyes of God fell upon him. In the midst of ruin, one light still burned bright. One night, as Noah looked up at the stars, the silence of the world was broken. A voice, deep as thunder yet gentle as a whisper, spoke from the heavens. Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me. The earth is filled with violence through men's hands. Behold, I will bring a great flood of waters upon the earth, to cleanse it of wickedness. Noah trembled, for the words were heavy. Yet the voice of the Lord was not only judgment, but also mercy. But you, Noah, have found grace in my eyes. Build for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms within it, seal it inside and out with pitch. Its length shall be 300 cubits, its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. With 3 decks it shall stand, a refuge from the storm to come. The vision of the ark filled Noah's mind, a vessel vast as a fortress, rising like a mountain of wood. It would be his family's sanctuary, and the dwelling place for every kind of creature that walked, crept, or flew upon the earth. Take with you too of every kind of living thing, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Of clean animals, take them by sevens, to offer before me. And you shall bring food for them, and for your household. For behold, after 7 days, I will cause rain to fall upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, until every high hill is covered, and every living thing perishes. The voice grew still, but the command burned in Noah's heart. He lifted his face to the heavens, his eyes shining with both awe and sorrow. The world he knew was nearing its end. But in the midst of judgment, God had given him a path of salvation. Noah's choice was clear. He would obey, though the world would not understand. He would build the ark. At dawn, the sound of labor broke the silence of the valley, an axe striking wood, a hammer echoing against beams. Noah, with his 3 sons beside him, began the impossible. Tree after tree fell, each one stripped, cut, and shaped. The scent of fresh cedar filled the air. Beams rose like the ribs of some great beast, reaching toward the sky. Day by day, plank by plank, the ark began to take form. But as the structure grew, so too did the scorn of men. They gathered at the edges of Noah's work site, pointing and laughing. Look at the old fool, they jeered. He built a ship in the middle of dry land. Where's the sea? Where's the flood? Has he lost his mind? Their laughter rolled like thunder, but Noah's heart did not waver. For every nail he drove was not for man's approval. It was for God's command. His sons labored beside him, Shem lifting heavy beams, Ham smoothing planks, Japheth securing ropes. His wife and daughters-in-law brought food and water, their faces weary but steadfast. The ark rose higher, dwarfing houses and trees, until it stood like a mountain of wood. Its dark frame loomed over the land, silent and unshaken, a testimony carved from faith itself. The people mocked louder, their voices sharp as spears. But Noah's hands did not stop. His eyes looked beyond the ridicule, beyond the toil, toward a storm no one else believed was coming. For faith builds what sight cannot see, and Noah built for the salvation of his house. The ark stood ready, a mountain of wood and faith, silent yet waiting. For years Noah built while men laughed, but now the world was about to witness what no man could deny. Then it began. From the forests, the plains, and the mountains they came, creatures of every kind, drawn by a call deeper than instinct. A soundless summons stirred the earth. The lions left their dens, the wolves their caves. Eagles circled from the sky, serpents slithered from the dust. 2 by 2 they came, male and female, walking in order as though guided by unseen hands. The ground shook beneath the tread of elephants, while tiny mice scurried faithfully behind. Giraffes bent their long necks as they passed through the ark's gate, while sparrows fluttered in clouds above, landing upon the beams. The people who mocked Noah now stood frozen, their laughter swallowed by fear and wonder. Their eyes widened as predators walked peacefully beside prey, untamed yet calm, as though the Creator himself walked among them. Noah's family stood at the entrance, watching with awe as this living procession filled the ark. Pens and rooms prepared long ago now echoed with the rustling of wings and the footsteps of beasts. The sight was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was a miracle carved into motion, a testimony written in flesh and feather and fur. And as the last of the animals entered, the voices of mockery were silent. For the God who spoke to Noah had spoken again, and the earth trembled with his signs. The ark was filled. The animals rested in their places, and Noah's family gathered inside, their hearts heavy with both fear and faith. The world outside still lingered in disbelief. Some stood watching, others scoffed, still laughing at the sight of the great wooden vessel. Then the sky changed. Clouds gathered from every horizon, rolling in like a black tide. Shadows stretched across the land, swallowing the sun. A stillness hung in the air, heavy, waiting. Even the animals grew silent, their breaths slow, their eyes restless. And then it fell. A single drop of water struck the dust. Then another, and another. The laughter of the people faltered as the dry earth darkened beneath the growing drizzle. The drops became streams. The streams became sheets of water pouring from the heavens. Thunder cracked like the voice of judgment itself, and lightning split the sky. At that moment, unseen by human hands, the massive door of the ark closed, shut tight by the hand of God himself. Noah's family clutched one another in silence, knowing the time of mercy had ended. Outside, terror spread like wildfire. The mockers who once laughed now screamed. Men and women ran for higher ground, clutching children, scrambling for safety. They beat their fists upon the ark's walls, their voices desperate, pleading for the door to open. But the door did not move. The rain fell heavier, pouring like rivers from the heavens. The fountains of the deep burst forth, water rising from the earth itself. Streets became streams, streams became rivers, and rivers swallowed the land. The judgment of God had begun. The heavens opened, and the earth was undone. For 40 days and 40 nights, the rains did not cease. Sheets of water fell from the skies, while fountains burst from the deep, roaring from the belly of the earth. Valleys became rivers. Rivers rose into lakes. Lakes swallowed mountains. The whole world drowned beneath the fury of the flood. The cries of mankind rose above the waters, shouts of fear, wails of despair. But soon they were silenced, one by one, until only the storm remained. Homes and temples, fields and forests, cities and palaces, all vanished beneath the waves. The earth was washed bare, cleansed of its violence and pride. But amid the endless waters, the ark floated, steadfast and unshaken. Winds howled against its sides, waves struck its frame, yet the great vessel did not falter. Inside, the lanterns burned softly as Noah's family waited, listening to the thunder of judgment outside. The ark groaned and swayed, but carried them, lifted high above the ruins of the old world. 40 days became weeks, weeks turned into months. For 150 days, the waters prevailed, stretching as far as the eye could see. No mountain, no tree, no land remained. The earth was a silent ocean, and upon that vast sea, the ark drifted alone, an island of life upon a world of death. The roar of the storm had ended. The thunder grew distant, the lightning faded, and the heavens closed their gates. The waters remained, stretching from horizon to horizon, but the fury of judgment was over. For 150 days, the ark drifted across a silent world. The air was heavy, the skies gray, and the seas endless. No bird sang, no beast rove, no voice of man remained, only the creaking of the ark and the whisper of wind upon the waters. Inside, Noah and his family waited. Each sunrise felt the same. Each sunset brought no change. Their prayers rose like incense in the stillness. Lord, remember us. Remember your promise. And God did remember. A wind from heaven began to stir across the waters, gentle but steady, pushing back the flood. The seas began to sink. Day by day, the waters lowered, until at last, the ark came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. Its wooden frame, once tossed by storms, now stood firm upon stone. Still, Noah did not rush. He waited. He watched the skies. He trusted in the Lord's timing, not his own. And in the silence of that waiting, a new hope began to stir, the promise that life would rise again from the ruins. Days turned into weeks, and still Noah waited. The ark stood firm upon the mountain, but the world beyond remained hidden beneath the waters. The silence pressed heavy, and Noah longed for a sign. Was the earth ready for life again? Had the waters finally yielded? So Noah opened the small window of the ark. With trembling hands, he released a raven. The blackbird circled above the endless waters, searching, but it did not return. Noah's heart sank. The world was not yet ready. 7 days later, he tried again. This time, he took a dove into his hands, small, white, and gentle. He released it into the sky, and his family watched as its wings carried it over the waters. Hours passed. The sun sank low. The dove returned, but its feet carried nothing. It had found no rest. Still Noah waited. Still he prayed. 7 more days passed. Once again, he took the dove, his weathered hands holding it carefully. He released it into the evening sky. The ark grew quiet as every soul inside waited. And then it returned. This time, in its beak was a single green leaf, fresh, alive, plucked from an olive tree rising from the waters. Noah's eyes filled with tears. The earth was alive again. The judgment had ended. The promise of renewal had begun. 7 days later, Noah released the dove once more. It soared into the sky and did not return. And Noah knew the world was ready. Life was waiting to be lived again. The waters had finally vanished. The earth, once drowned, now lay bare and new beneath the heavens. Green shoots pierced the soil, rivers traced their paths again, and mountains stood tall over a cleansed world. Then the voice of God came to Noah. Go out from the ark, you and your wife, your sons and their wives. Bring with you every creature that lives, so they may fill the earth again. And so the great wooden door opened. Light spilled into the ark, brighter than it had been for months. Noah's family stepped out on a solid ground, their feet sinking into fresh soil. Around them, the animals poured forth, deer leaping into the meadows, birds soaring into the open skies, lions and lambs walking together into the wild world reborn. Noah stood still, breathing in the air of freedom. His eyes filled with awe at the silence of cleansed earth. And before he did anything else, Noah gathered stones and built an altar. Upon it, he laid an offering of thanksgiving. The first act in this new world was worship. Smoke rose into the heavens, curling upward like a prayer. And God was pleased. The Lord spoke, "Never again will I curse the ground because of man. Never again will I destroy every living thing with a flood. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night, shall never cease." Then, across the sky, a wonder appeared. Arcs of radiant color stretched from horizon to horizon, a rainbow painted upon the clouds. It was God's covenant, His promise, His sign of mercy set in the heavens. And Noah, kneeling before the altar, gazed at the rainbow with tears in his eyes. For the world had been given a new beginning. The storm was gone. The waters had passed. The earth breathed again. But the story of Noah was not only about judgment. It was about mercy. It was not only about destruction. It was about renewal. For in the sky, God placed a sign that would speak for all generations. The rainbow stretched across the heavens, colors blazing like fire, bending from mountain to mountain, touching earth and sky alike. It was more than beauty. It was covenant. And God spoke, "This is the sign of my promise. When the bow is set in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and every living creature. Never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. This rainbow is my sign, an everlasting reminder of mercy." Noah lifted his eyes, and the world was bathed in light. His family stood beside him, their faces glowing with hope. Around them, animals grazed peacefully in green fields, the ark resting quietly behind them on the mountain. The rainbow arched above it all, a bridge of color, a symbol of peace, a promise etched across the sky. And so, from the flood came a covenant. From judgment came mercy. From death, life again. The rainbow still shines today, across storms and skies, a reminder of God's faithfulness. And this is the story of Noah, the man who walked with God, built the ark, and carried hope into a new beginning. The rainbow faded into the clouds, but its promise endured. The covenant of God stretched beyond that moment, into all generations that would follow. Noah and his family became the roots of a new humanity. Sons and daughters were born. Nations would rise from their line. From the silence of a cleansed world, life began again. Fields were tilled. Homes were built. Fires burned at night, and songs echoed beneath the stars. The earth, once covered in water, now blossomed with life again, as if creation itself had taken a second breath. And Noah, the man who had once walked into the ark by faith, lived to see the spreading of his children's children across the land. He became a living witness that God rescues, restores, and renews. But with each sunrise, the rainbow remained. Its colors bending across the heavens were not just for Noah, but for all who would ever look upon it. It was the bridge between God and man, the reminder that mercy triumphs over wrath, and that hope shines after the storm. The story of Noah was not only his story. It became ours, a tale whispered through generations, a truth woven into the fabric of faith. And so, the great flood ended, but the covenant continued forever.
Thank you for taking your time to watch this great story of Noah and the Great Flood. To continue enjoying scripture folktales, kindly like, comment, share and subscribe to Bible Folktales. Your moral support will encourage more relatable videos. We appreciate you.